China's quest to eliminate extreme poverty by 2020 is a headline-grabbing story. And while it might sound like a mission impossible, it's anything but. In 1978, China embarked on a reform journey, and the country has since developed into the world's second biggest economic power. Along the way, over 750 million people have shaken off poverty, and among them, more than 93 million have done so in the past 7 years alone. Successive governments have pledged that China's economic miracle would change the fortunes of all Chinese, with no exception. And the anti-poverty campaign has been in place for over 4 decades to see this promise through. The efforts have by and large worked. By the end of 2019, 5.51 million people, mostly in rural communities, were still stuck in poverty. And if everything goes as planned, their lives will drastically change come the end of this year. But does this mean that China will have no people in need after 2020? Not really. But before we delve deeper into this question, it's important to first understand what China means by eradicating extreme poverty. For extreme poverty to be a thing of the past in China, 4 criteria need to be met. First, the annual per capita income of farmers exceeds 4 million yuan or $564. Second, basic public services in poor areas are close to the national average. Third, those living in poverty no longer worry about food and clothing, together known as the 2 no worries. And last but not least, access to 3 guarantees, namely compulsory education, basic medical care, and safe housing, is ensured. With these requirements expected to be fulfilled before 2020 comes to a draw, China can safely say it's free from absolute poverty, 10 years ahead of the goal set by the United Nations to end global poverty by 2030. But that's only half the story. Poverty has many dimensions, and just because someone has a roof above their head, food on their table, and a steady stream of income doesn't mean they're not living in difficulty. Left behind children, women, and the elderly in the countryside are the next focus of the Chinese government. Even in urban areas, low-income residents without a social safety net are at risk. So what's next for China's poverty alleviation drive? Some experts suggest that policies should focus on children growing in poverty after 2020. Li Shi, the executive director of China Income Distribution Research Institute, said that the failure to solve the problems of needy children in poor areas will lead to poverty in society in the future. While Lu Mai, the Secretary General of the China Development Research Foundation, said that the issue now is whether there's a path in our society for needy children and the poor at the bottom to move up. Ending absolute poverty is not an end goal for China. A lot of work needs to be done after 2020 to help vulnerable groups in the country lead a happy and dignified life.